Okay, so when I hear of feminism, I think of a fight against men and advocating for our rights as women, debates that men are better than us. That's one thing that comes to my mind. But then I attended workshops and had enlightening conversations about what a feminist is. And then I realized that a feminist is not a soldier. She's just a woman fighting for her own rights. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a chemical engineer. In engineering, actually I'm still a student. And I've worked in fields with a lot of men. And this motivated me to become a feminist. Because it's talked about that there's gender equality, but trust me, it's not really practiced. People say that women have equal rights as men, but it's not yet there, like the achievements that we want as women. Because before I talk about the solutions to the problems faced by a feminist, I would rather talk about the problems first. Because the problems they face, one of them is the gender gap in pays in places of work. Ladies and gentlemen, where I used to work, men would get better money than us women. Yes. And the reason is very silly. It's because women go on maternity leaves. So if we go on maternity leaves, we're an expense to the company. They can't continue to pay us. Unfortunately, that's what goes on in this industry. And there's nothing we can do about it, because sometimes as women, we can't really offer the manpower that they need, especially as engineers and other tough jobs, like heavy jobs. We can't really do that. So the other problem that women face, especially in places of work, feminists face, the other problem is sexual harassment. This problem is talked about, but not really talked about. Because sexual harassment, it's difficult to report sexual harassment, ladies and gentlemen, because if you report it to someone else, it might seem like you're being too forward. If you say that the boss was making advances at me, they won't understand you. They'll say, okay, what exactly did he do to you? And you're supposed to say, he did this to me, he did that to me. Actually, we are guilty for sexual harassment, because the next thing is, what were you wearing? How did you look at him? I mean, he's not really supposed to abuse me. Whatever I'm wearing is just supposed to understand that I'm a woman who needs to do things by herself. And I feel like a lot of advocacy needs to be done in those companies. A lot of advocacy needs to be done. Social media, like what you mentioned earlier, it needs to be employed. We need to make sure that everyone knows that sexual harassment is serious and is taken seriously. A lot of men need to know that whenever they take advantage of a woman, there are serious implications. Sorry. And the other problem that feminists face, I'm talking from experience because I was by a girls' school from Form 1 to Form 6. There's this poor Down syndrome. Yeah. Women cannot build each other. For some odd reason, women cannot do that for each other. Actually, it's the men who are out there standing to hold our hands. If you want to rise up as a woman, there's another woman standing by you and telling you can't do it. If you have noticed that a lot of women know the fake weaves, but men don't know it. Mm-hmm. You show up in a fake weave, the woman is the first person to notice that you're wearing something that is fake. But men will be like, you look good, and that's okay. And I feel like women pull each other down in that aspect. That's the problem that we are facing as feminists. And the other broad thing that is talked about is gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is broad and is not very specific, but it's something that affects feminists, because gender-based violence covers everything that women go through. It even covers the other gender as well. So I feel like sometimes gender-based violence, there's a lot of advocacy about gender-based violence, and it's not really effective, but it is. so I can't really dwell much onto that. And I feel like men need to be educated on how to handle empowered women, because we are training women to be, we are training women to be empowered, we are empowering women, but what are we doing for the other gender? Because we are raising and creating beasts, but not training men how to handle them.
Wow. Yeah.
I will not waste your time, ladies and gentlemen. I will just say that it may not happen now or today, but it will take days, not today, not tomorrow. But I feel like the fight against gender-based violence, the fight for feminists has to continue. Even if we stop, even if we die, it still has to go on. Let's continue this until Vision 2030. Thank you very much.